my name is Joe Jukes and I'm the Peace Education Officer for CND. CND Peace Education is a non-campaigning branch of CND and we do outreach work in English schools. We don't really operate in Wales or Scotland because there are other national CND groups that will do their own peace education. Peace Education Scotland, for example, is the Scottish Schools Outreach Programme. But here in England, we normally work with around 7,000 to 8,000 students each year. Those were our numbers for this year, 2019 to 2020, and last year, 2018 to 2019. We work with several hundred schools each year by invitation. So schools will approach us and they'll ask whether we can run a peace education workshop, which will normally be around nuclear weapons themes exclusively, but we do have several workshops as well that are about pressure groups. We can also give free assemblies that are given by either the Peace Education Officer or by a trained school speaker who will also be really knowledgeable about nuclear weapons issues. The aims of our workshops are not to bring only the points of view of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament to students' attention. Rather, we're trying to bring the topic as a whole, nuclear weapons around the world and also the UK's nuclear weapons, to students and provide them with more information and hopefully sparking some critical thinking and further discussions and questions about the nature of nuclear deterrence around the world. So we're trying to open up conversation, hopefully broaden minds, and also just provide information where students won't normally be able to access that information. For example, we have a workshop around the atomic bombings of Japan at the end of World War II, where students might normally learn about the end of World War II just from a European focus. We really try and focus on the different perspectives, both for and against the use of nuclear weapons in 1945. What we also offer, aside from our school workshops, is teacher training. So whilst peace education can be incredibly broad, it could be about mindfulness and inner peace, it could be about conflict resolution in schools, or just between conflicting parties. There's also an aspect of peace education that is about global issues as well. So this is the work that we generally practice in schools, a global issue focus on nuclear weapons and peace. But with our teacher training sessions, we're trying to work with trainee teachers, normally who are completing a PGCE at a university and also working in a school, trying to show them techniques that we use that they could take forward in their practice to become peace educators in their own right as well. So we'll normally sample or model one of our workshops with them and then ask them to critically reflect. So the idea is that one, they know about our programme and they might be able to invite us into their school in the future. This has been a great way of growing the programme, but also we're trying to empower them to kind of use their own minds and their own motivations to think, how can I use my own subject, whether it's art, physics, computing, history, English, politics, citizenship, in order to also do peace education. This is something that's also really important nowadays when teachers are required to teach outside of their subject a lot more or take on more responsibilities around well-being, mindfulness, PSHE or compulsory citizenship. So aside from the school workshops and the teacher training programme, the third thing that CND Peace Education does is not necessarily limited to England. We offer 6 teaching packs which all contain multiple lessons on a variety of themes around the topic nuclear weapons and peace. And these are available for free online, or if you live in England and the UK, we can post them to teachers as well, and we do so for free. I'll just run through them really quickly for you. So the first one that we have is called Under Pressure. It's about how pressure groups operate. This features 3 lessons where students can essentially choose a topic, set up their own pressure group and see what roles they might be well suited for if they want to raise their voice for political change. So it can be a really great workshop and it's well suited to citizenship and politics in particular. The next pack we have is called Critical Mass. As the title and the subtitle suggests, it's lessons on gender, race and nuclear weapons. This is our newest pack and it was published in 2019. And this is trying to refocus students' or thinkers' attention on the margins of nuclear debates. So what happens to those who aren't necessarily choosing to use nuclear weapons but bear the brunt of them? So this features examples of women's activism at Greenham Common and also the art of atomic bomb survivors in Japan and how Aboriginal communities are affected by uranium mining in Northern Australia. A bit closer to school syllabus, we've got Dial M for Missile, which is a pack about the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis more specifically. So the key lesson in here, as well as lessons on the peace movement and asking students to create their own nuclear bunker, is a lesson called The War Game, where students will step into, hypothetically, world leaders' shoes and kind of play a workshop around the Cuban Missile Crisis. Will the students who are representing Cuba choose to fire their weapons at the United States? What about the students that are playing the UK? How will they try and influence international conflict? The next pack is Sadako's Cranes for Peace. This is our pack pitched at primary level, and it follows the story of a young atomic bomb survivor by the name of Sadako Sasaki. Now, Sadako became very famous because she folded more than 1,000 paper cranes before she died, and that helped popularise the symbol of the crane. So this pack culminates after learning about the atomic bombs in a very sensitive way, with students making their own origami paper cranes, something to take away and share the story with afterwards. The fifth pack we're going to share is Truman on Trial. This is an award-winning pack. It's been nominated for the Educational Resource Awards in 2018, and it also bears the Association for Citizenship Teaching's quality mark, as does Under Pressure, by the way. Now this pack contains 5, I believe, lessons on teaching the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This is secondary level instead of Sadako's primary level. And the key lesson here is where students set up a mock criminal trial to find out for themselves whether they think that President Truman was justified or unjustified in dropping the bombs on Japan. So what they will do is they will role play as barristers, occasionally judges in the courtroom, as well as witnesses from both sides from different perspectives. So there are 6 witnesses all in all. And the idea here is that we're opening up discussion where there's not just a reason for or against a bombing, but there can actually be multiple reasons for and against, and they can conflict in different ways. And then last but not least, we have the bomb factor. This was our first teaching pack, and it also bears the Association for Citizenship Teaching's quality mark. This is a very general pack, a really good introduction to nuclear weapons, and the titular lesson, the bomb factor, is a kind of X-Factor style presentation where students study and then try and present the views of different organisations and countries around the world when it comes to nuclear weapons. So they're trying to convince their peers to take on a point of view that they might not even agree with themselves in the course of the lesson. So these are the things that we offer, and as I've said, our programme has been growing and growing over the years. We were actually due in the academic year 2019 to 2020 to work with almost 100,000 school students in England alone, which is unprecedented in our history. And we're able to do that in part because we have a small but strong and robust network of volunteer school speakers. We have a dozen at the moment that live in different parts of the country and can support me in delivering those sessions, both by themselves and alongside each other and me. So what we do with our school speaker network is we provide some training, and after a short informal interview, speakers can be trained up to deliver sessions in a really slow way, in a way that suits them. There's no obligation in terms of the time that they will commit to the programme, but we tend to send them opportunities regularly, both before and during school terms. Some speakers will work in quite a large region. For example, we have a speaker that works in between London, Southampton and Oxford, and sometimes occasionally also goes to the West Country, whereas we have other speakers that would prefer to stay in a smaller radius near their home. Now I'm saying this because, one, we're all indebted to the school speakers for helping the programme to flourish with just one member of staff, but also because we're recruiting for school speakers at the moment. So if you're watching this and you think that you could be a great school speaker, working with young people and opening up discussions about nuclear weapons and peace issues in London, or perhaps beyond London as well, then do get in touch with me and the programme at peaceeducation@cnduk.org, or you can find out more about our programme at cnduk.org/education to get to our website. If you'd like to stay up to date on what the programme is doing, of course you could regularly check our website, which also has a blog, but it might be better for you to follow us on Twitter, which is at CND Peace Ed, or find us on Facebook by searching CND Peace Education. I hope that this video has improved your knowledge of the CND Peace Education programme and hopefully sparked your interest to find out a little bit more. If you would like to support the work of the programme, then you can do so directly by visiting our website and clicking on Donate to CND Peace Education. We're not funded by CND membership, but rather through the Nuclear Education Trust, which is an educational charity that funds our work. If we were funded by the campaign, we would not be able to work in schools, and we're also trying to do more non-partisan work in the classroom. So thank you for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed learning about CND Peace Education. I'm going to leave you with a little quote that we use in our Under Pressure workshop in schools. It's from anthropologist Margaret Mead, and she says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has."